Join me to starting the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And here this morning we have Mr. DeBoer.
Here.
Mr. Helmers.
Here.
Mr. Loring.
Here.
I am here. And we'll first look at the agenda as it was provided for today. Any changes?
I don't have any.
Not aware of any.
Motion for the agenda. I'll second
Motion by Loring, support from DeBoer for approval of today's agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor signify with aye.
it.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We have our agenda. We have another novel of minutes that need consideration. Boring novel.
For papers, I could get that all lined up.
I'll make the motion for those minutes.
I'll second it.
A motion from Helmers, support from DeBoer for approval of the March 4 minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor of approval signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Next, we would look at and consider approval of ambulance write-offs. Sandy, you have anything specific to share? I see the
I
information
believe
in the
these are
packet.
two write-offs that the PCC, obviously the patient is deceased, and there is no estate for us to collect the rest of the money from the ambulance run. So PCC is asking us if we would consider writing the amount off.
So for the two, it's total $374.93.
Right, and then, like,
The total of the
Total
two
of the
is-
two.
yep,
And we can could approve both in one.
yeah, yes.
Is there interest in proceeding with the write-offs?
I'll make the motion for those write-offs. Second.
We have a motion from Helmer, support from Loring for approval of the write-offs as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We have approval. We've been asked, and I received a letter requesting adjustments to room and board fees. Resolution 33 in front of us with reflecting those requested changes, $50 per day for room and board and $80 per day charge for prisoners who granted work release, as requested by the sheriff and identifying code section 35630. Interested in action on that? The letter indicates that it had been set in 2007 at $30 a day for both.
I would make that motion to raise those rates.
Support that.
Motion by Helmer, support from DeBoer to approve resolution number 33. Any discussion concerning that? Hearing none. Mr. Helmers, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. DeBoer? Mr. Loring? And I vote aye. Come back to resolution 34 after department heads. Start with auditor at the table here. She's still writing.
Yeah, we're just busy with passports. Chantry's finalizing the homestead and family farm credit. The flyers, these little flyers will be going in the mail this week. We got, I'm not for sure what day, but they have to be mailed out by the 14th. So they're sent to the
Mailed
printers.
together this year, right?
What?
Are they separate? They had to be separate last year. They can be mailed together this year, or
They could be
did
mailed
have
together
all
last year
together?
too.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I think it's 4,900 and some were mailing out. So they said, haven't got a confirmation as to when they're going out, but they're all ready to go. They're ready to be printed. So sometime
Thank
this
the
week.
legislature for helping us make sure our
Yep.
citizens are well informed.
Confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause the
That's not why they
assessment
passed
rules
it.
will follow that.
But that's not why they passed it. It was to inform them.
Well,
You know the notifications, I get it.
Well, they're not comparing apples to apples because they're comparing 100,000 to 110, and what's on these sheets doesn't reflect the assessor's levy, ag extension, area schools, or townships. So, not even a true factor what their taxes could be. So, there's my little spiel on that. So,
The assessor.
Yeah, well, those are on 24 values, right?
Yes,
Michelle's
yes.
sending this out on 24 values. We're working on 25 values. Those assessment rolls will go in the mail by April 1. It's a real estate year, so every value is subject to review and change. And overall, we average 10% on residentials, average overall. And commercial's 10%. And the egg numbers we're not gonna get in time, so they estimated some numbers and pushed them out to us and said, please use these. So, egg buildings went up, egg land's going up 30%. And one of the ways we get to raising these values is we changed our manual out from 110 to 125. So that was just a bump for everybody. And then just looked at things parcel by parcel, but today I'll be rolling my egg over from my payment to my real estate, make sure we made the 30% on the land, so, do some test runs, and then next week maybe we'll run assessment rolls and have plenty of time to get those in the mail, so. That's where we're at in the real estate year.
Conservation?
We have a Hunter's Ed online field day coming up on March 29th, I believe. There are still slots available for that, so if you know anybody that might need to take it, send our, have them get the online coursework done, and then they can come out and see us on the 29th. Usually takes about 3.5 hours for them to get certified. Other than that, we are busy working on the cabin. We have most of the ceiling up. We have one piece that we need to put in the living room, but we're waiting on trim to show up. And I don't know what's going on with that. I think they had to go cut the trees down first, because we've been waiting on that for 2 months now. And then I think our floor should show up Friday, and we're getting really, really close. I guess Jason was out there. Most of the ceiling's out, the cabinets are in, doors are hung. So we're getting there, getting ready to get that wrapped up. And I guess in the meantime, we'll get our fire equipment ready and start proceeding with our spring stuff.
So on the flooding update, working with you on the reimbursements, at this point, we have, using their portal system, we have debris removal, major bridge erosion of 2 bridges, and the emergency measures, the signage. We have all that stuff in with FEMA to get the money obligated, which then goes to the state to do the final auditing of what we've done, but we're in good process with those. The other items are the I-15 bridge, which is the Poet Bridge. The amount we did for gravel road repairs for all the washouts and the small bridge erosion, those projects we're still quantifying, and we'll be getting those done soon. We have an inspection set up for March 17th to look at small bridge erosion with FEMA staff as well. Construction projects, we have on the agenda today the bid award for the 2025 asphalt project, the one that was kicked from last year. We also have a chip seal contract that was the bids were awarded last meeting, so that contract's on today. We have 10 Bridge, that CHBP grant that we did the 2080 agreement with. That's all been done. It's now with the state. All communities have joined that, so the state will be submitting for that grant. And then there's also a TIP meeting today where we'll discuss projects. I did submit for a project, but it does not look likely that that project will be funded in the 2029 year. It'll probably be kicked to the 2030 year based on the number of projects that have been submitted and the last, I guess, the taking turns, or when we last got awarded some money. So that will probably not happen today. Lastly, the equipment, the tracked excavator, which was a FEMA claim, but it turns out ICAP decided to pay for it under a comprehensive. We received both the payment and the excavator. So we're good with that. That's all I got.
Sure.
No, I don't have a whole lot. Been working on a couple of these resolutions that you're gonna talk about. We do have the application process open again, so hopefully try it again, see what happens.
And he's gonna jump right on that revenue sheet.
You gotta explain it to me first.
Recorder?
Okay, we have registration renewals coming in for snowmobiles and orbs and boats are due now April 25th here coming up. And we usually have Solutions do like a database for a reminder every 3 years, because it's only 3 years, so people forget what year they have to renew. So, but we're gonna try to make our own and reach out to people through emails, and we've got it on our website, and just do it cheaper, we think, than what we have them do, and we don't. A lot of the other counties have had trouble with Solutions getting them, so we're not gonna go that route this time.
All right. Thank you. Any questions, gentlemen? No? Looking at the list, I see Mike Schulte down to have brought treats. I'm not sure how he
Andre
did
switched
that,
with
but
him this month. Andre did it.
That does make more sense to me.
Yeah, it does.
Well, enjoy. Feel free to watch us as long as you'd like. I'm sure you'll enjoy that too.
So,
We do have Resolution 34 presented to us, again from the sheriff, concerning civil process server using in-house staff versus just deputies. Anything further on that? It doesn't need the specific names?
No, it's the way we've been going through employees lately, that can change on a regular basis, so that's why I didn't put any names in there. But, more than like, one of them's gonna be Gloria, obviously. I'd like to have two of them anyway, and the purpose of that is, when we go out to try to serve a paper to somebody, if they're not home, we leave a door knocker on their door, saying, hey, we were here, give us a call. And sometimes they give us a call, and sometimes they stop in. If that paper doesn't get served, it just hangs in the office. And if it's hanging there, if Gloria or one of the other ones that we designate a civil process server, they'll be able to serve that paper then without having to call the deputy off the road to come in and do it.
Identify codes 331-652-8 and 331-9031 is requiring this or this complying with. So, interest in Resolution 34, gentlemen?
Motion.
Support. A motion from Loring, support from DeBoer for approval of Resolution number 34, 2425. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Loring, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. DeBoer?
Aye.
Mr. Helmers?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you. Enough room for you? Or? Dive in.
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item here was the award for the called the 2025 HMA project, which is Farm to Market A30 and Farm to Market L40. Farm to Market A30 is the blacktop south of town here, running east-west to 59. L40 is the small segment of L40 north of Northwest Boulevard. We kind of paved the segment coming out of town past the hospital this past year. This will be the next segment across the street. This project was part of the 2024 HMA project, but DOT policy was that we had to have the money in our farm to market account in place at the time of bid, not at the time of when we expected construction to happen. They don't allow us to cash flow the project. So we had to kick this project to the next fiscal year. So that's essentially what this is. We received 5 bids. In my report to you, I did have a typo that Jason found on Central Specialties. Their bid was not 3 times the bid. That was a 1.5 million, not 5.5 million. So we did receive 5 bids. Dunik is the apparent low bidder. Everything seems appropriate with their bid, and it is within the realm of the budget that we had. So we would recommend awarding of this bid, and I would also point out that the resolution also has another stipulation that it delegates me the authority to do all of the miscellaneous paperwork, so we don't have to keep coming back to the board for every little thing. There's lots of processes involved with the DOT project, so this allows me to do all the signatures within their system. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
So what I'm taking from that is you're saying you can easily do what we historically did?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm taking, I'm cutting the time frame down by not having to wait for a meeting.
Sounds reasonable and wise to me. Any interest in action on resolution 35, gentlemen?
I'll make a motion to award that bid to that. Second.
Motion from Helmers, support from Loring for approval of resolution 35, awarding the bid to the low bidder, Dunik. I recall the name seems familiar. We used them, or they've been utilized in the past, or?
I not in my time frame, but they have a good reputation. Everybody else seemed pleased with the name. They were the second bidder last year.
Dunik is out of Worthington.
B-Y-N-I-N-C-K. Dunik.
Thank you.
They're out of Worthington, Minnesota.
Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none. Mr. Helmers, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Loring?
Aye.
Mr. DeBoer?
Aye.
Do you want to sign that resolution there on top of that, your book of their keys?
Picture of that, or if you want that, or
I got.
you got one? Okay. Yeah, please change the 5.5. That was 1.5.
I thought, well, they don't have to work very hard at doing their jobs. Quarter as often as everyone else.
Oh, so this should be 1 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were the number 3
Yeah,
bidder. It's
yeah,
not really,
yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Yep.
That's more for information.
All right, next we have consider approval of contract for fiscal year 25 chip seal project.
Okay, so at the last meeting, we had the bid opening for the chip seal project in town. And this is just bringing the contract forward. The contractor, that was the low bidder, has brought forward their performance bond and signed the contract. So it's just following through on the action that was taken last meeting to award the bid.
Give the name of that contractor.
I don't recall.
It's right,
Is it
Blacktop Service
Blacktop
Company.
Services? Okay, yeah. They're out of, is it Humboldt?
Yes.
We'd like to give approval to that contract, Blacktop Service Company.
For that motion.
Second.
Motion by DeBoer, support from Loring for approval of the contract for chip seal project. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify with aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, approval. We have consideration of a Thomas Pitt amended farming lease. I think I saw a copy.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I probably should have been arrived on this one, but I didn't. We have a lease for Thomas Pitt, our gravel pit farming agent, and that lease is a 3-year lease. It was starting in 2022, runs through this year. But this summer, we are going to start mining more gravel from Thomas Pitt because of all the gravel we used from the flood. So we are cordoning off more of the pit of the area, therefore less acreage for the farming agent to farm. So we have done an amended lease that basically reduces the acreage. It's still the same price per acre from the original contract. And the farming agent has signed this and understands the area. He will be allowed to farm that area at his own risk if he decides to, because it's likely that because of the restrictions the DNR placed on the Thomas Pit, we probably won't be in there until the late summer, start of fall. But legally, he should not have to pay for that area. So he can still farm it at his own risk, though. With that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Thomas Pitt is south of the mound.
Thomas Pitt is on Tyler Avenue, south of the mound, yes.
This would be going further.
We're going to go a little farther to the east with our excavation, and then there's a little bit of area up close to the road where they're going to be able to pile more of the overburden as well. So those two areas are being kind of removed from his ability to farm.
How many acres would that be?
The original lease from 2022 was 34 acres, and now it's going to be 31.8, so he's losing 2.5 acres. So the rate he pays is about $205 per acre. So we just redid the math.
Interest in considering approving that amended lease?
Motion.
Support. Motion by Loring, support from DeBoer for approval of the Thomas Pitt amended farming lease. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
I will abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will John be calling in for this item, or do we need to contact him, or just proceed with the
No,
resolution
Ehlers and
36?
Kennedy is the one that it should have been probably approved before and it was missed, so they've been working with me. Well, we awarded the contract, but we didn't have the bonds on there. And this is the one for the bonds.
I see.
When the bond company, and then the dates of the bonds were. So that
Okay.
seems, yeah.
So, from legal counsel, I would like to see resolution 36 approved with the addition of bond information. The bonds. Interest in approval for resolution 36.
I'll make that motion for resolution number 36. Support.
A motion from Helmers and support from Loring for approval of resolution number 36, approving construction contracts and bond for the construction of the jail project, Public Safety Center. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Helmers, are you in favor or
Aye.
opposed? Mr. Loring?
Aye.
Mr. DeBoer?
Aye.
I vote aye. We have a request to consider approval of flex benefits loan. Do we
Sharon
have an
needs
amount?
$7,500.
And for information or reminding us that
This,
eligible employees contribute to their flex spending over the
Mhm.
course of the year, but they're eligible to take up to their total contribution from day one. So it often leaves a shortfall until those withholdings are done later in the year, correct?
correct.
So,
She'll have to pay us back June 30th. She has to pay us back, and then we probably have to do another loan starting in July. So per Dave DeNoble, that's how we, in the past, had to do it, so.
because this runs calendar year.
Calendar year, yep, and we're
spending
fiscal
through.
year.
For the flex.
Yes.
So you can get money out of there without having the right amount of receipts? Is that what you're saying?
No, if they come in with a bill of, let's say, $2,000, they can get their money right away, and they'll take the whole year to pay back the flex loan. I mean, they have to turn in receipts.
They've identified that over the course of the year,
Expense.
they'll have,
X
your
amount of
example,
dollars.
$2,000 withheld to their flex account. But by March here, they haven't contributed but 800 or whatever it is, but they can spend the 2,000 and they have the receipts and can get the reimbursement, but the account hasn't had enough contributed to it yet, so. Make sense? And $7,500 is what she's requesting at this point, and that you've indicated would be paid back
June 30, and then you might have to do another loan July 1st, depending on where she's at.
Who do they pay it back with if
I
they're
don't
short?
know. She probably can't, yeah. That's just a thing that has Dave DeNoble with the audit, so.
How much can you flex?
Is it $3,000?
3,500-ish, 3,300, something in that range.
It varies from year to year.
The federal government tells you how much can be put in it.
You can flex that for like medical, and then I think there's another, you can flex so much for daycare too,
That's eligible.
you know, and
Daycare's higher.
yeah.
All right, interested in approval?
That just comes out of the check as future.
It comes out of their payroll. And then they,
So if they quit.
You're required by law to pay.
yeah, then they have to pay it back.
So if you're behind at the time you quit, you have to
Pay
pay
it back.
Okay.
And that probably, the last check would probably reflect that.
Any interest in improving the $7,500 requested flex benefits loan?
I'll make that a motion to approve that.
Support.
Motion by DeVore and support from Helmers to approve the flex benefits loan, amount of $7,500. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Or do we want to consider the budget amendment public hearing date and time prior to 9:15? Do we have a date and time? maybe
Yeah, I was gonna do
recommend?
April 22nd. We can do 9 o'clock or whenever.
The need for a budget amendment, we would need to set a public hearing date and time to do that. Michelle's suggested April 22 at 9 a.m. Do we have interest in setting that, gentlemen?
I'd make that, go ahead.
I can make a motion.
Motion by Loring.
Support.
That support from Helmers to identify April 22nd at 9 a.m. as the time for the 24-25 budget amendment public hearing date and time. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
We have to have information to give Michelle.
I'll send an email. I'll probably need it the first week by April 1st. 'cause I'll have to have it paper to the 9th, or I have to have the paper by the 4th to be published the 9th, so.
We have 9:15. We want to give a call first, or we've been instructed that closed session would be good, and we'll make the
That's what
call in
he-
closed session, or
That's what he suggested.
the attorney
Closed
needs
session.
to be present. Does he need to be present before we go into closed session, or? Not sure.
I don't know. Hey, George.
Good morning. We've had a closed session requested by council concerning Iowa Code Section 2151C to discuss strategy with them. We haven't acted on it yet, but we'll be in close. Is there interest to enter into closed session?
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Helmers, support from Mr. DeBoer to enter closed session. Mr. Helmers, how do you vote? Mr. DeBoer?
Aye.
Mr. Loring? And I vote aye. We are now in closed session. We'll discuss